Women are suffering in life because a lot of times we put it on ourselves. And I have talked before about the 5 ways that women self-sabotage. But today I want to give you 4 assignments that are going to help you out of that self-sabotage. If you have not already downloaded the 5 ways that women self-sabotage, I will put a link for it below wherever it's available, wherever you're listening to this podcast. If you're struggling to find it, just go to any of my platforms, click on the link that is on my profile, scroll down just a little bit, and you'll see that free guide that you can download. I want you to download that, but I want you to actually use it. We got to get out of the habit of taking information and hoarding it and not putting it to use. So what I want to talk about today are not the 5 ways that women self-sabotage, because we've already covered that. Instead, I want to give you 4 assignments that are going to help you to stop. These are very simple assignments. In theory, what is going to be difficult is to complete the assignments and to hold yourself to a higher standard to actually go about enforcing what you learned from these completed assignments. So I'm going to go through each one. I'm going to elaborate and explain just a little bit, and then I want you to actually go out and start practicing them. This is not entirely new information. If you have been following the lives, if you've been present in class all week, we've talked about these things. And if you have not written them down, then maybe you need to listen to this podcast. But I do want to make that disclaimer, because if you've already been in live all week, you know what I'm about to say. And again, doesn't work if you don't do it. So the first thing that I want you to do is make a list of 5 things that you will commit to without excuse. Remind yourself you're going to do these things no matter what, no matter how, no matter when, no matter what, no matter how, no matter when. You have to do these things. This part is important because a lot of times when I refer to you being a loser, it's not because you're just not meeting some impossible life standard. It's not because you don't drive a specific type of car or live in a certain type of house or dress a certain way. No, you're a loser when you lie to yourself, and we have to stop being so afraid to call these things out, because what we do oftentimes is we don't call a spade, and then we allow our excuses to hold us back. So instead of calling yourself out and say, I am acting like a loser by lying to myself, you say, I'm spiraling. I'm struggling with depression. I'm just really tired this week. That's why I didn't get around to it. All things that may very well be true, but that does not change the fact that you are exercising being a loser by lying to yourself. Stop lying to yourself. So this exercise is going to help you to come out of that. What are some of the things that you have been saying? I'm going to do this. I'm going to start running. I'm going to start eating better. I'm going to start making that budget. I'm not going to drink all this coffee. Whatever it is, you know what these things are, and you can probably think of 5 things off the top of your head that you've been lying to yourself about. Now, when you create this list of 5 things, instead of going to the extreme like you always do, I'm going to lose 20 pounds, I'm going to stop eating all red meat and stop drinking soda and stop eating sugar. These things are not extreme for a person who already has a habit built up of reinforcing those concepts. But you who's been eating sugar and processed foods for the past year, you who has not even gone for a walk longer than 15 minutes in the past year, you cannot put yourself in that extreme situation and then expect yourself to meet that standard. So it's really important that when you write these things out, you're one, very specific, but you also don't want to overpromise so that you can underdeliver. You instead want to underpromise so that you can overdeliver. So if you haven't been active and you know that you want to get active again, maybe you want to start walking miles at a time, instead of telling yourself that every day this week you're going to walk 2 miles, you should just say, I'm going to go for a walk 15 to 20 minutes every day at this particular time. That's a lot easier to do something for 15 to 20 minutes and to start building up that stamina over time. And what happens is that barrier of entry is so low that you can commit to that, and you just make these good positive deposits back into your trust with yourself, because that's what we need to do first. The only way that you will stop sabotaging and being accommodating to other people that you don't need to be, committing to unworthy men, putting yourself in positions where you're bending and folding and lowering your standards for people, is if you first learn to love, honor, and respect yourself. You will not learn how to love, honor, and respect yourself if you don't take care of yourself and if you lie to yourself. So create a list of 5 things, very specific plan, that you are going to work on no matter what, no matter how, no matter when. Don't do it just for this week. Continue to do it and always come back and sharpen those things up so that your quality of life can get better over time. The second thing is to say no. Very simple. Say no without offering an explanation, without giving a bunch of disclaimers. That part is important. Sometimes we don't even struggle with saying no. We struggle with saying no and just making no the end of the sentence. We feel like we have to over-explain ourselves. We have to tell the person why we can't help them. We have to make ourselves feel better about not being able to be there for everyone, when the truth of the matter is any person who loves and respects themselves knows that they can't do everything for everyone while also taking care of themselves. This is not an invitation to be selfish. This is not even an invitation to say, don't do your responsibilities. This isn't what this is about. Anything that you need to do, anything that you're actually required to do, go ahead and do those things. But you want to say no to the things that are extra, the things that would normally cause you to overcommit and then be tired and exhausted. And when you say no, you're not going to say why you can't do it or what you have to do instead or be overly apologetic. You're just going to say no. And you can collect whatever data you need for yourself as to why you're saying no. But I want you to get out of the habit of over-explaining yourself, because that is a people-pleasing tendency. That is rooted in you being overly accommodating, because you want to say yes, but like, I can't. I have to say no, and I can't just say no because they're gonna think that I'm just, who cares? All they're going to do when you tell them no is go find someone that can help them. And if you can wrap your head around that, it will be fine. Sometimes it's uncomfortable for people, especially if you always say yes or you always come through. And sometimes they may even get into a space where they try to guilt trip you for these things. That's not your problem. You're not going to let them do that. You're going to say no and you're going to move on with your life. The third thing that I want you to do is create a list of standards. I've said before, I don't care about your preferences. I want to know your standards. Standards are things that you can't do without them. So when we're talking about friendships, relationships, a job that you want, a school that you want to go to, what you think God is calling you to do in your life, standards are the things that you cannot do without. So maybe you're a woman and you know that you're not looking for a husband, but you know that the man that you will marry, he will be a man of God. And you know specifically what that means. You know that the man that you're looking for, or the man that you're going to marry, is going to have ambition. He's going to be diligent in every aspect of his life. He's going to have discipline. And so there are ways that you can look for these things, and we're not talking about that here. But those are standards. You might want him to be tall and chocolate and handsome and have this kind of hair and wear his clothes like this and drive this kind of car. You may want all of those things, but those are preferences. Those are not standards. The way that he looks, the way that he presents himself, generally speaking, the way that he operates in his style, all of those things are preferences. And it's great if you can find men and friendships and all of these things where the preferences and the standards are the same. And the way that this plays out in friendships is, obviously you want friends who are honest and have integrity. Maybe you want them to be like-minded or to have interest in taking care of themselves and being women who are accountable and responsible, so that you are not hanging out with women who gossip. But then maybe your preferences are that they have a similar style to you, or they're very pretty, or what, like the aesthetic of friendship. Those things don't matter. So I don't really want you to focus on preferences here, because you know what your preferences are. I want you to make a list of standards. You don't have to do anything with the list. I just want you to create it so that you can start opening up your mind and being very clear on the things that you want. The next challenge to this on another day will be figuring out how to identify those standards, how to look for them. So for instance, how can you know that a man has self-control? How can you know that a man has integrity? How can you know that he has patience? And so that's what we'll talk about another time. So right now, you're not really worried about that. You're just worried about writing down what the actual standards are. And then number 4 is going to be a perfect day integration. This one is very easy. A lot of people think that it's fluffy, but it matters so much. This is not an ambiguous assignment that I'm just making you do. This is actually something that will help you to start taking more action in your life in ways that you tend to be passive. Something that a lot of people are guilty of doing or saying is, well, if I had more time to do this thing, I would. If I had more money, I would do this. And I want to challenge you on that, because this exercise is actually going to show you how there are things in your life that you put off waiting for the perfect circumstances, but you don't need to. So when I did this exercise in live, every time I do this exercise, actually, I asked the question, if you had more time freedom, if you had enough money and you didn't wake up with stress, what would you do tomorrow morning? And without fail, people say the simplest things. No one has yet to say anything extreme like they're going to pack their bags and go across the country. No one has yet to say anything like, I'm going to go buy a brand new house. And I know that this is because people are so stressed that when you bring them to a point in their mind where they're not focusing on stress, they go to simplicity. And so people say things like, I want to watch the sunset. I want to make sure that I get up and I have some time in the Word of God. I want to make sure that I get my exercise in. I'd really like to have a home cooked breakfast. I'd really like to sit down with my dog and just listen to music. All very regular, possible things for any regular human to do. And so this assignment challenges you to take those things and to actually integrate them into your life. So find a way to ensure that you have enough time to watch the sunset tomorrow. Find a way to ensure that you have enough time in your day to wake up and read the Word. No excuses, because remember, tying into number 1, the 5 things that we commit to, you have to do it no matter what, no matter how, no matter when. Now, if you made a list of 10 things that you would do in your perfect day, maybe you can only do 1 or 2 of them. But you need to find a way to start putting those things into your life and prioritizing them. Because the problem that a lot of us have as women, and why we're so eager to please other people and to be there for other people while abandoning ourselves, is simply because we don't value ourselves enough to take good and proper care of ourselves. You put your face on, you put your clothes on, you smell nice, you shower, sure. But you're not taking care of yourself spiritually by spending time with God, being intentional, learning the Word of God, figuring out what it is that He has over your life and surrendering your will for His. You're also not taking the time to incorporate these practices that are going to make you more peaceful. You're not taking the time to do the things that you would enjoy. And instead, you're making excuses about how you don't have the time because you have to take care of everybody else, which further proves my point. So this exercise is meant to help you to slow down and to say, okay, I don't need perfect circumstances for me to do things that are practical and enjoyable in my life. And I'm going to start working toward doing those things. So these are very simple. I hope that you wrote them down. If not, this is a podcast. It's audio. You can rewind it. You can pause it. You can write things down. But I do want you to pay close attention to these things as we get closer to the quote unquote end of the year. A lot of people start to set goals and things that you want to do. Let these be the things that you work on. I promise you, these are so simple. They're not always the easiest thing to do because we get in our own way, but they're so simple. And when you actively start working on these things, you will be so surprised how transformative it is in your life. The way that you think about yourself, the way that you carry yourself, the way that you love yourself, the way that you become unwilling to compromise on the things that you need, it will be incredible. So if you like this, maybe I'll talk a little bit more about it in the next podcast. I did want to keep this one short, but I didn't want to let another week go by without giving this assignment. Thanks for listening. As you know, if you're listening to this at the appropriate time, the doors are closing for the Womanhood series today. So if you want to get in this next session, you make sure that you enroll. I will also put a link to that as well in the description. We are going to meet for 5 days. You come in with your vulnerability, your discomfort, all of the things, and we take that stuff and kick it back to sender. The goal for us in the Womanhood series is to take you out of these cycles of self-sabotage, to help you to identify the things that you're doing to cause your own suffering. We stop pointing the finger at everybody else. We stop blaming everybody else. We allow you to own your portion. You start taking control and charge of the things that you are responsible for so that you can actively change them. When everything that happens in your life is the result of everybody else doing things to you, when you are a victim, your life will never change. Your relationships will never get better. Your friendships will always be suffering. Your finances will always be drained. You will always feel stressed. You will always feel overwhelmed. How has that been working for you? Okay, so that is exactly what we worked through in the Womanhood series, and I am looking forward to seeing you there, friends. So I'm going to put a link in the description. Be sure that you sign up on time, because once those doors close, you will not be able to enter until the next session. Thanks for listening to this episode, and I will see you in the next one.